Hello, friends, and welcome back. Here we are in the next episode of our Reincarnation is a Game series. And today we are going to be talking about purpose, as in, what is your life purpose? We often think about this in terms of career, makes sense. Sometimes it is a calling, but not necessarily. That's not at the heart of what we mean by you having a life purpose. So if you're new here, welcome. I'm Jillian. And in this series, we look at life and reincarnation as a video game that we are a little character on screen and we are playing with objectives and quests and missions and character classes, all of the fun stuff. So today we are talking about the mission that your little character is up to in this round of the game of life. Yes, you have a mission. Before you came into form, you picked a mission that you were going to accomplish in this lifetime, in this round of the game. Now, we don't always accomplish our mission. This is why sometimes when people pass over to the other side and they're sent back, they're saying, you're not done doing what you have to do because they haven't completed their life mission. They still have stuff to get up to. And whatever that is, whatever that mission is, falls into one of three areas, or maybe more than three. So we're going to dig into what those three areas are. But first, let's talk about what do we mean by purpose? What is this mission that you're playing in this game? So as a quick refresh, the whole reason that we're playing this game is because we are here to evolve our souls. We do that by encountering challenges that help us learn lessons and that help us expand our consciousness. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos in this game series, you already know all about that. So we won't dig into that side of purpose, the reason we're here, why we're playing this game. That's very much the internalized experience. But when we are talking about purpose in the terms of like what your game mission is, we are talking about what you are here to do on an external level. And I don't mean just the relationships you have with other characters, but who you are here to be and what you are here to accomplish in this round. When we get to the core of it, what we mean is that there is something that you are contributing to the game itself. Now, this could be a career or a calling. We like to think about this in very dramatic ways, like being Mother Theresa, that there's some divine calling that you have to save the world or save the children. And that might be, but more likely it is about the effect you have on the other characters in the game. It is this effect that you're having on those around you and even changing the temperature of the game itself that is the purpose that you put in play. This is your mission, is to change the game. There is a particular quality or qualities that you have. Maybe it's humor, maybe it's kindness, maybe it's power, and how you live that in your day-to-day life, how you act that out ends up creating ripple effects that touch and reach other people. So every soul has a unique contribution to make. You have a unique contribution to make. And the more you are able to more fully be who you truly are, the more you accomplish your purpose. And it can show up in different ways. But whatever area it shows up in, the heart of it is about who you become, not about what you accomplish. We know this world is run by younger souls that really like to focus in on accomplishments, on the loot we collect, etc. But the intention of this game isn't about acquiring a whole bunch of XP. It is about who you become beyond your little character in the game. So let's talk about the three areas about how your mission might show up in this life. Now, the one that applies to all of us, this is the core essence of everything when we talk about what we are here to do, serve, etc., in the external aspect of ourselves, and that is all about love. If you were to boil all of the whole reincarnation experience down to one core truth and one core idea, that concept is love. We hear that over and over again from folks that have come back from their near-death experiences, that what was really important in life is the love we gave, is how we chose love over and over again. Love is not only the currency, love is the absolute fabric of what we are all made of. When we show up to various situations in our life with compassion, with forgiveness, with love, with understanding, and I don't just mean with other people, I mean it even more with ourselves, because the fastest way you can slow down your spiritual growth is by judging yourself. So looking at how you can spread love internally and externally. This is one of my favorite parts when we talk about what happens after we die. We hear this from near-death experiences and mediums and people who've done past life regressions in every different direction. We have a life review. And in that life review, we experience the impact that we have on the people around us. We experience it from their point of view. So if you've done unkind, hurtful, selfish things, you'll then go through the experience of what it was like for that person. That kind of scares me. I'm not looking forward to that part. But on the flip side of it, we also experience all the ways that we have touched and supported other people. So when you made your friend laugh when she was in a really hard place, when you met that stranger on the street and you gave them some encouragement and some hope and some feeling like maybe they can move forward, maybe they can breathe, all those little ways that you touched people, and I mean little, it doesn't have to be huge, all those little ways of showing up and spreading love, injecting love into the fabric of this game shifts the temperature. But the second one is all about self-expression. And I think this is the one that we often miss, is this concept around self-expression. It can be very scary. We've had past lives where expressing who we are did not end well. So we can have a lot of fear about being authentically ourselves. But there was one near-death experience that talked about when she did her life review, her purpose was to live fearlessly. Her purpose was to live as her authentic self. That was the mission she planned for herself, was to show up in the game as this bright, fearless person, which meant she probably had to go through fear before she got there. So don't think that just because you're dealing with a lot of fear right now doesn't mean that that's not exactly what your purpose is. In fact, the more resistance you have in your life to something, the more fear there is, the more chance that your purpose is on the other side of that fear. So with my coaching clients, I see self-expression as a hot area a lot. There's a lot of folks that have come into form and have selected a mission of self-expression, but are blocked from doing that. Now, that could be through art. That could be through writing and performing. It could be in very traditional expressive mediums. But it can also be, just like our friend, the near-death experiencer, it could also be just about living fearlessly and authentically, about following your passion, following your joy, doing the things that light you up, all about living in your beauty and your power, being this beacon of light in the world. Because we often think about purpose as either career or as things we are doing for other people or to other people. But sometimes our mission is about who we show up as, because we are bringing that vibration into the game. And that gives other characters a chance to look at us and see what is possible for themselves. It is, we're going to get into vibrations here. It's all about the vibrations. When you're vibrating as a strong, powerful person, other people around you can match their vibration. They can look at you on an energetic woo-woo level. They can look at you and say, oh, that's what power looks like. Okay, let me try that. It might be consciously, but very often not consciously. Think about in your life, looking around at the people that have affected you, when you looked at how they showed up in life, how they pursued their creativity, or how they stood in their power, and about how you were awed or inspired by them. And that means part of you took some of that on. You learned from that person about what was potential and possible for you. So you being yourself gives other people the permission to be themselves. So go out and express yourself. How would you like to show up in the world? What flavor of light do you want to be? Okay, now we're going to get into the third area of purpose. And this is the one that we most traditionally think of when we think about purpose, and that is service. That's our Mother Theresa purpose calling. I also like to talk about it as helping others, because that widens the way we can think about what our mission here is. Yes, it could be helping others in terms of if they have food insecurity, or if they're going through drama or trauma, or have somebody that they need to help them on a physical health level. I mean, all these types of service. But it also can mean raising children, solving engineering problems, running a business ethically. This doesn't have to be our traditional church kind of service acts. This is about how you are showing up to help others in the game or to help the game itself. So perhaps you're working on climate change. You're helping shift the planet and then also the experience of everybody on the planet. It's about how you can contribute and help other people. Now, of note, this is something that we see as a purpose for a lot of old souls. If you're watching this, it's very likely that you are an old soul or a mature soul. You're in the older soul spectrum, because our younger souls are often very focused on collecting loot. They're out there doing their little raids and seeing what kind of treasures they can accumulate. And maybe they're slaying all the townsfolk in order to get what they want. By the time you've got to this age, and you've tried that stuff out and don't think that you haven't done it on some level, but you also experience things from the other side. You also had to be the karmic recipient of that action or that activity. So by this point, you realize not a great path. That's not a great path. I see the destruction and the harm that it causes. How can I change that? How can I not only rebalance maybe the pain and destruction I've caused in other lives, but how can I then shift us all into a happier, more beautiful, more loving place? So I think that dovetails quite nicely into how do we know what your purpose is? What is your mission? What did you select? Whether that was love or self-expression or service. First, we're going to stop thinking about it in terms of career. Ask yourself, if I planned this life because I wanted to become somebody, who was it? Who did you want to become? And how does that person show up in whatever job you have? Or is there a career that is in more alignment with your own way of self-expressing and being of service? But there are clues on what your mission is in this life. And it's the 3 Ps. We love alliteration: passion, patterns, and pain. Okay, so let's look at each one of those. Passion. What are you passionate about? What do you like to do? When you were a little kid, what would you spend hours and hours a day on? What would you do now if you had all the money in the world? What would you do if nobody ever paid you and you were never successful at it? What is it that lights up your heart? It is particularly useful to look in your childhood, to look at the threads. Doesn't mean literally, but it's to look at how it is you showed up, how you expressed yourself, what you were drawn to as a child. Did you like performing? Did you like writing? Did you like cooking? Were there things that you liked to do and behaviors you liked to engage in? How did you show up in your little relationships as a child? What did you find the most rewarding? What were you praised for? All of these things are little clues, and when you gather them together, they start to paint a whole picture of what your purpose was. Because as I said in previous videos, your childhood is the setup. It set you up for whatever this round of the game is. It basically was sort of the tutorial level as you got your feet under you so that you were activated into whatever it is you were needing to get up to in this life. Okay, now let's look at patterns. These are the things that keep showing up over and over again. Maybe these are things that you're drawn to fix or ways that you show up in the world. So for example, for me, I am very operational. I go into whatever environment I'm cast into and I look at what the opportunities are, what needs to be fixed, and then create the tools, systems, and frameworks to help make things better. Now, that's one of my threads. I've got other threads. I liked to talk a lot as a child. I liked to write. I liked to perform. I was really into spirituality. All these little threads wove together into this purpose. But that operations piece is the one that I also find really fascinating for how my purpose is unique and different to a lot of the other spiritual teachers out there, because I'm all about creating the operations, the spiritual operations, the tools, the structures, etc., to help people in navigating this life. It's how I'm able to kind of put together all these pieces of the reincarnation as the game and see what those systems, those patterns, those processes are for our life. It's also why I'm creating the player's manual workbook so that you actually have worksheets and character analysis and game plans that you can work through to kind of understand this life, operationalize your spiritual life experience. Those are some of my clues for my purpose. So what are your patterns? How is it when you're thrown into particular situations that you end up gravitating to doing specific kinds of work? That is your unique soul expression, your unique soul fingerprint. It is part of your mission. And the third P is the surprising one. It's pain. What does pain have to do with our purpose? Everything. Everything. Pain is the heart of our purpose because it is going through whatever our pain is, whatever our wounds, our damage, and how we heal and how we learn and how we grow through that for ourselves, then we turn that into the external world and help the other characters. It would be like in the game. There was a particular ford you had to cross or a particular dragon you had to battle. And once you figured out, oh yeah, that's how you crack that particular puzzle in the game, then you can go back to help the other characters. Oh, this is how you get through this challenge in this part of the game. That's how you help other people through your pain. And it can be that you're helping people directly. It can be that, okay, I was an alcoholic and I overcame alcoholism and now I'm going to be a counselor, a drug and alcohol counselor to help other people learn how to navigate that challenge. It can be like that sort of direct, I had a wound, I healed it, I'm going to show you how to heal it. But it can also be through your presence, simply by being somebody who has learned how to hold on to this particular quality through the pain, that you are then a mirror that other people can look to grow from. Perhaps through your experience, you found your internal strength and you found your internal power. And now you're showing up in the game in a way that then people can see what healthy power looks like, what healthy strength looks like. And then they can take that on and figure out how they can do that themselves. So they're learning from watching you. Now, in all of that, I think it's also important to look at what your soul type is. We talked about soul type in one of the previous episodes, so hopefully you already know what I'm talking about. If not, you can go back and watch that episode. But essentially, you have a soul career or a soul specialization that you have evolved throughout your lives. Maybe you're a leader. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe you're a nurturer. You're probably a sage. That's probably one of them. Whatever that type is, that archetype, is also about how you're here to help and shift the game. It's your character class. So if you're here to be a wizard, or you're here to be a soldier or a knight, those are going to show up in your purpose in different ways. They can both be ways that you're helping other people. They can both be ways that you're changing the game, but because you have a different character class, it's going to look a little different. Whatever your character class is, again, this is all about how can you be authentically yourself. The world needs what you, as a unique individual, have to offer. Nobody has had the life experiences that you've had in this life, and sure as heck, nobody's had all the previous life experiences that you've gathered as well. You have a special blend, and the more you can shine your beautiful light in the world, the more the world lights up. Now, with all those previous lives, you've also encountered some dramas and traumas and have collected a lot of fears. So I see this a lot with my coaching clients, that it's very hard for them to believe in themselves to shine that light. It's very hard and scary to think about how they can authentically express themselves, where on some level they have some memory of being killed for it. So this is one of the ways that I work with people to help them get through the things that are holding them back so that they can be who they are here to be. So it's time to choose your own adventure. We're going to have 3 paths again. 1, if you want to work with me, I coach people. You can learn more about that on my website. I'll share the link down below. Or you can start watching the next episode of the game if it's ready. All of these episodes so far, we've talked about the setup. We've talked about all the things that got put into place before you came into form, before you started this round of the video game. Now we're going to talk about playing the game. So I'm excited to finally get into the gameplay, how you can live this life on purpose, how you can play life itself. So if it's ready, it's going to be right here. Or go back to the very first episode right here and get the big picture, and then follow all the other episodes and learn about all the different things that I mentioned in this video. Wherever you go, I look forward to seeing you there.